Chaos is once again tearing through Westminster, and this time it may finish Keir Starmer for good. The man who once promised to steady Labour's ship now finds himself at the centre of a rebellion so fierce it could destroy his leadership overnight. A no-confidence revolt has exploded after a secret EU deal was leaked, exposing a betrayal that has enraged his party, shaken Parliament and stunned the nation. What was supposed to be a clever diplomatic reset has instead become the ultimate act of treachery in the eyes of MPs and voters alike. And now, with fury spreading like wildfire, the question is no longer whether Starmer's grip on power is slipping, but whether it is already gone. The leak landed like a political bombshell, shattering the fragile trust that still held Labour together. According to insiders, Starmer quietly struck a backroom agreement with Brussels that hands over key powers Britain had fought bitterly to win back during Brexit. Fishing rights, legal oversight, trade flexibility and even youth mobility concessions were all slipped into the fine print of this secret pact. For Starmer, it was meant to be a quiet recalibration of relations with the EU, something he believed would make him look pragmatic, competent and ready for power. But once exposed, it has unleashed a storm of rage so intense it threatens to end his leadership in disgrace. Across Westminster, Labour MPs who only weeks ago were lining up behind him now seethe with fury. Many accuse him of deception, of plotting in the shadows, hiding the deal not only from the British public, but from his own party until it was too late to fight back. A betrayal is the word whispered in every corridor, a word repeated in hushed voices and shouted in private meetings. Even his closest allies are struggling to defend him, while others sharpen their knives, sensing the moment has finally come to bring him down. For many in Labour, this is no ordinary policy misstep. It is the gravest sin of all. The betrayal of Brexit, the one issue that has defined and divided British politics for over a decade. In fishing towns like Grimsby, Hull and Plymouth, the anger is visceral. Fishermen who voted for Brexit on the promise of reclaiming control of British waters now watch in disbelief as those waters are handed back to the EU until 2038. Community leaders call it a catastrophe. Banners accusing Labour of treachery are draped across boats, and protests are already mobilising on the docks. These are not distant debates for these families. It is their survival, their livelihoods, their very identity. To them, Starmer's deal is nothing less than a sellout, proof that the promises made during Brexit have been tossed aside for political convenience. But the fury is not confined to the fishing communities. Inside Parliament, the rebellion is snowballing. Senior Labour figures who once defended Starmer now fall silent, unwilling to tie their future to a leader branded a traitor by his own backbenchers. Shadow cabinet ministers speak only in vague, evasive terms, refusing to stand at his height. Behind closed doors, MPs mutter about a dagger to the heart of Labour. And some openly declare that the party must act now or face annihilation at the ballot box. For them, the leaked deal is not just a blunder. It is a revelation that Keir Starmer cannot be trusted, that he is a leader willing to sacrifice sovereignty and democracy for his own ambition. Adding fuel to the fire, Conservative MPs have seized the moment with ruthless precision. Smelling blood, they have joined Labour rebels in pushing forward the no-confidence vote, turning what began as an internal crisis into a full-blown political earthquake. Rarely in modern history has Westminster seen such cross-party unity, but here it is, Tories and Labour rebels alike, united not by ideology, but by outrage. For the Conservatives, this revolt is proof Labour is unfit to govern. For Labour rebels, it is their only chance to save the party before it collapses under Starmer's leadership. And together, they are forming an alliance that could end his career before he even sets foot in Downing Street. The fallout is already reshaping the political map. Nigel Farage and Reform UK are capitalising with ruthless efficiency, branding Starmer the Brexit betrayer-in-chief. Farage's rallies swell with disillusioned voters. His message simple: only Reform truly stands for Brexit. Only Reform can be trusted. And polling already hints at a dangerous surge in Reform support, especially in Labour's fragile red wall seats, where voters now wonder if they were deceived not only by the Tories, but by Labour as well. Once the narrative of betrayal takes root, history shows it is nearly impossible to contain. As the storm builds, one image grows clearer. Starmer is no longer in control. In meetings, his fury erupts into desperate tirades, branding critics as traitors and warning of consequences. But each threat only emboldens his rebels further. Instead of fear, there is defiance. Instead of loyalty, there is open mutiny. He looks less like a strong leader and more like a desperate man watching his grip on power crumble with every passing hour. What was once whispers of discontent has now erupted into a historic rebellion. And as the countdown to the no confidence vote ticks away, Britain watches with bated breath. This is not just about policy, not just about Brexit. It is about trust, betrayal, and survival. The rebellion tearing through Westminster is more than an internal party dispute. It is a reckoning, a defining moment that could destroy Starmer's leadership and reshape Britain's political landscape for years to come. And as the storm gathers strength, the only certainty left is that the fight for Labour's soul and for Starmer's future has reached its most dangerous hour yet. The rebellion now gripping Westminster is unlike anything Britain has witnessed in years. What began as scattered whispers of discontent has turned into a full-scale mutiny that threatens to tear Labour apart at its very core. The leaked EU deal has not just undermined Keir Starmer's credibility, it has ignited a chain reaction of fury, distrust and betrayal that spreads wider by the hour. Inside Parliament, the mood is volatile. The Labour benches, once disciplined and united, now echo with open defiance. Backbenchers rise to challenge their leader, while even those who were once silent loyalists now speak of betrayal in the harshest of terms. The heart of the anger lies not only in the deal itself, but in the way it was done. To negotiate secretly behind closed doors without consulting Parliament or the public, this has cut deeper than policy. MPs call it an insult to democracy, a direct assault on transparency and trust. If he can betray us in the shadows once, one Labour MP warned, he can do it again. That sense of distrust is spreading like poison. The more Starmer insists he acted responsibly, the more his critics accuse him of deceit. Each denial only fuels more suspicion, more whispers that Labour has chosen a leader who cannot be believed, and the rebellion is not confined to Labour alone. Conservative MPs have found common cause with their rivals, sensing a rare opportunity to weaken their opponents. Tory rebels, emboldened by Labour's fracture, are hammering home the message that Starmer's Labour is no alternative to chaos. It is chaos itself. They frame the revolt as proof that Britain cannot trust Labour with power, and their message is landing. Even before the no-confidence vote is held, public perception is shifting. What was once the image of a steady leader in waiting is now that of a man unravelling under the weight of his own mistakes. In Labour's grassroots, the damage is devastating. Constituency members report resignations in droves, activists refusing to campaign, and lifelong supporters declaring they will never vote Labour again. The betrayal cuts deepest in the Red Wall, where Brexit was more than politics. It was a matter of pride, sovereignty and survival. Communities that had cautiously begun to drift back towards Labour now feel deceived all over again. For them, this is not simply a policy disagreement, it is a broken promise, a direct assault on their dignity. Once trust is shattered, rebuilding it is almost impossible, and Reform UK is waiting to claim the ground Labour is losing. Meanwhile, the media has sharpened its knives. Every newspaper headline screams of betrayal, revolt and collapse. Television broadcasts loop footage of Starmer's tense confrontations, his furious outbursts branding colleagues as traitors, and his strained attempts to project authority. Far from appearing strong, he looks desperate, cornered and weak, a man drowning under the pressure of rebellion. Political commentators compare the atmosphere to the dying days of Theresa May, when authority crumbled faster than any policy could be saved. For Starmer, such comparisons are poison. Once the narrative of weakness takes hold, it is almost impossible to shake off. Behind the scenes, Labour headquarters has become a fortress of chaos. Staffers describe frantic meetings, shouting matches and sleepless nights as advisors scramble to contain the fallout. Every leaked memo, every whispered rumour of resignation, every new defection adds to the sense of collapse. The leadership office, once disciplined and orderly, now reeks of paranoia. Allies are suspected of betrayal, loyalties are tested, and the walls seem to close in tighter with each passing hour. Those close to Starmer say he paces the halls like a man under siege, lashing out at critics, but unable to halt the rebellion that grows stronger with every threat. Economists and business leaders, too, are unnerved. Instead of stability, the leaked EU deal has introduced fresh uncertainty into Britain's already fragile economy. By restoring elements of European oversight, the agreement threatens to limit Britain's ability to forge independent trade deals and raises questions about the country's long-term competitiveness. Sterling fluctuates, investors warn of declining confidence, and the irony is brutal. The deal, Starmer thought, would prove his competence has instead become the very symbol of his weakness. As the countdown to the no-confidence vote ticks on, Westminster feels like a pressure cooker about to explode. MPs huddle in secret meetings, plotting their moves, whispering about potential successors, and calculating whether the moment has come to strike. The silence of Labour's most senior figures is perhaps the most damning sign of all. Where once they would have rushed to defend their leader, now they wait in the shadows, unwilling to chain themselves to what they fear is already a sinking ship. Their silence speaks louder than words. It is the sound of a leadership collapsing in real time. And outside Westminster, the fury only grows louder. Protests swell in coastal towns, chants of betrayal echo in the streets, and banners demand Starmer's resignation. What began as anger in fishing communities is now spreading to working-class families across the country, many of whom feel their voices have been stolen once again. Brexit was meant to restore control to the people. In their eyes, this deal has given it away, and the man responsible is Keir Starmer. The rebellion is no longer just about a policy dispute, no longer just about Brexit. It has become a battle for survival, a showdown that pits Starmer against his own party, his own people, and even his own legacy. The no-confidence vote is the guillotine hanging above his career, and every tick of the clock brings him closer to the blade. For Britain, this is no ordinary political crisis. It is a moment of reckoning, a historic turning point that could topple a leader and reshape the future of the nation. The rebellion has now passed the point of no return. What began as whispers of dissent has erupted into a full-blown political insurrection that no speech, no promise, and no last-minute concession seems capable of halting. The no-confidence vote looms like a thundercloud over Westminster, and with each hour that passes, Starmer's authority bleeds away. Those once loyal to him now speak openly of his downfall, and every defection fuels a sense of inevitability that spreads like wildfire through the Labour ranks. In the corridors of Parliament, MPs describe the mood as electric, dangerous and historic, a once-in-a-generation revolt that could destroy a leader overnight. Inside Labour, the fractures grow deeper by the minute. Backbenchers no longer hide their fury, branding Starmer a coward who chose secrecy over honesty, betrayal over leadership. Some openly call for his resignation, while others demand an immediate leadership contest to save Labour before it is too late. The whispers of succession have become a roar. Ambitious MPs quietly position themselves in the shadows, manoeuvring for advantage in the expectation that Starmer's fall is now only a matter of time. Shadow cabinet ministers who once sat firmly in his corner are distancing themselves, choosing silence rather than defending what many see as the indefensible. Their refusal to stand at his side is a wound far deeper than any Tory attack. It is the unmistakable signal that his own house is crumbling. What makes this revolt so deadly is not just the anger within Labour, but the rare alliances forming across the political divide. Conservative MPs, sensing an opportunity to hammer home Labour's weakness, have joined with Labour rebels in driving the revolt forward. This is no ordinary opposition attack. It is a coalition of fury united not by ideology, but by outrage at what they call a betrayal of Brexit. The Commons has become a battleground unlike anything in recent memory, with enemies and supposed allies alike closing in on the Labour leader. To be isolated in politics is dangerous. To be abandoned by your own party and besieged by your enemies at the same time is fatal. Meanwhile, Nigel Farage has taken full advantage of the chaos, seizing the spotlight with a relentless campaign that paints Starmer as the Brexit betrayer-in-chief. Reform UK rallies echo with chants of betrayal and treachery, their energy fuelled by communities who feel their hopes have once again been sold out by the political elite. The betrayal narrative is simple, powerful and devastating. Starmer's deal proves that Labour cannot be trusted, that only reform stands for the Brexit people fought for. The message is landing with brutal efficiency. Polls already hint at a surge for reform in Labour's most vulnerable constituencies, where voters who once considered giving Labour another chance now vow they never will. For Starmer, this is the nightmare scenario, his leadership collapsing internally, while his enemies outside Parliament grow stronger by the day. The media has turned the crisis into a spectacle. Headlines scream of meltdown in Labour and leadership in ruins. Leaked stories paint a picture of a man unravelling behind closed doors, pacing, shouting, issuing desperate threats. Footage of his angry confrontations plays on loop, reinforcing the image of a leader no longer in control, but cracking under the weight of betrayal. Political analysts compare the atmosphere to the final days of leaders who fell hard and fast. Theresa May during the Brexit deadlock, Gordon Brown in his twilight, Jeremy Corbyn during mass resignations. Each comparison is like a dagger to Starmer's reputation, each headline feeding the perception that the end is near. Beyond Westminster, the fury has spilled into the streets. Protests swell daily in towns and cities across Britain. Fishing communities in Scotland and coastal England rally with banners calling Labour traitors. Marches grow louder in red wall constituencies where Starmer had once promised renewal and hope, but is now accused of deception and betrayal. These are not small gatherings of activists. They are mass movements filled with ordinary families who feel their voices ignored, their votes dismissed, and their sovereignty traded away in secret. They chant not only against the deal, but against the man who signed it. For them, Keir Starmer is no longer a leader in waiting. He is the symbol of a broken promise. Inside Labour headquarters, the atmosphere is suffocating. Staffers whisper of paranoia consuming the leadership office. Leaks flood the press, resignations trickle in, and loyalty evaporates by the day. Advisors scramble to draft statements to spin the narrative, but every attempt backfires. Threats of deselection only embolden the rebels. Calls for loyalty are met with bitter laughter, and Starmer's insistence that he has everything under control fools no one. Even his most trusted allies admit privately that survival looks impossible. One staffer described the atmosphere bluntly. It feels like we're watching the walls collapse in real time. Markets have begun to react, rattled by the chaos. Investors warn of evaporating confidence. Businesses fear instability, and Britain's financial credibility hangs in the balance. The irony is merciless. Starmer's deal, designed to bring stability with Brussels, has instead unleashed turmoil that destabilises both his party and the nation. What was meant to be a careful diplomatic recalibration now looks like the miscalculation of a man too eager to prove himself, too blind to see the backlash it would unleash. The no confidence vote is not just a political test. It has become a battle for survival, a referendum on Starmer's trustworthiness, his leadership and his future. And as the countdown continues, one chilling truth dominates the whispers of Westminster. Starmer may already be finished, even if the final blow has not yet fallen. His career, his authority and his reputation all hang by the thinnest of threads. Britain waits, watching history unfold in real time as the rebellion moves closer to delivering its ultimate strike. The rebellion has now reached its boiling point. The tension inside Westminster is suffocating, as if the very air itself is charged with electricity. Every corridor buzzes with whispers, every chamber hums with anticipation, and every hour brings new revelations that tighten the noose around Keir Starmer's leadership. What began as a challenge to his authority has grown into a full-scale siege, one that no leader in modern times has survived. For many MPs, the question is no longer whether Starmer will fall, but how spectacularly his downfall will be. The leaked EU deal has become the symbol of everything wrong with his leadership. It is not just a policy mistake, it is a betrayal etched into the nation's consciousness. Fishing rights traded away, legal oversight handed back, youth mobility surrendered. Each detail of the agreement cuts deeper into public trust. Communities who once hoped Starmer would rebuild Labour now see him as a man willing to barter away sovereignty in secret. And in the Commons, MPs hammer him relentlessly, branding him a liar, a coward and a traitor to the very people he promised to defend. The fury is raw, unfiltered and impossible to contain. Inside Labour's inner circle, panic has become the defining mood. Reports from private meetings describe chaos, shouting matches, frantic strategy sessions, and advisers at war with one another. Some urge Starmer to stand firm and fight to the bitter end. Others plead with him to resign before the no-confidence vote delivers a humiliation too great to recover from. But Starmer refuses to step aside. His stubbornness, once hailed as determination, now appears as desperation. He clings to power with trembling hands, even as his authority crumbles beneath him. His opponents, sensing weakness, have grown bolder. Backbench MPs, once terrified of defying the leader, now openly speak of replacing him. Some even float names of potential successors, calculating who might best rebuild Labour from the wreckage. The silence of senior Labour figures, those who might once have defended him, speaks volumes. They are waiting, watching, unwilling to chain themselves to a collapsing ship. Their absence is a wound deeper than any Tory assault, a sign that the collapse is no longer a possibility, but an inevitability. Conservatives, meanwhile, fan the flames with ruthless efficiency. Tory MPs seize every opportunity to frame Labour as unfit to govern, declaring the party hopelessly divided and its leader fatally wounded. They paint the rebellion as proof that Britain cannot trust Labour with power, and their words land with precision, feeding headlines that scream of betrayal and collapse. Rarely has Westminster seen such unity across party lines, but in this rebellion, Labour rebels and Tory opponents march together with one shared purpose: the destruction of Keir Starmer's leadership. Outside Westminster, the fury has spread into a nationwide movement. Fishing towns stage rolling protests, their boats draped in banners accusing Labour of treachery. In red wall constituencies, rallies swell with chants demanding Starmer's resignation. Ordinary families who once believed Brexit would restore control to their lives feel cheated and abandoned. For them, Starmer is no longer just a political leader. He is the embodiment of betrayal, the proof that the political elite cannot be trusted. Their anger is not polite, not measured. It is visceral, roaring and unrelenting. Nigel Farage has capitalised with ruthless precision. At every rally, every television appearance, he hammers the same line. Starmer has betrayed Brexit, betrayed Labour and betrayed Britain. The message resonates deeply, cutting across class, geography and generations. Reform UK is rising in the polls, especially in the very constituencies Labour needs most. Starmer's blunder has not only shattered his own credibility, but breathed new life into the party that thrives on disillusionment. For Farage, it is a gift too perfect to waste. For Labour, it is a nightmare too severe to stop. Financial markets now tremble under the uncertainty. Sterling wavers, businesses delay investments, and economists warn of instability. The irony is merciless. The deal designed to stabilise Britain's relationship with Brussels has instead destabilised everything it touched: politics, markets, and the very leadership of the Labour Party. Starmer's claim of pragmatism has become his greatest weakness. His bid to appear competent, now remembered only as the reckless miscalculation that shattered his career. In Parliament, the atmosphere grows more poisonous with every session. Each time Starmer rises to defend himself, the chamber erupts with jeers and accusations. His pleas for unity ring hollow. His insistence that the deal is misunderstood falls on deaf ears. The louder he shouts, the weaker he appears. The rebellion feeds on his desperation, each misstep amplifying the sense that his grip on power is slipping through his fingers. Veteran MPs compare the scenes to the dying days of governments long past. Theresa May, as her Brexit deal collapsed, John Major facing Tory revolts, even Margaret Thatcher in her final days when allies turned into assassins. Each comparison tightens the narrative. Starmer's days are numbered.